Come on. Whoosh. Pact of Negation. Somebody clip it. Hey guys, so today we're going to be going over a pretty spicy list. This is called Jeskai Across the Sky. It is a historic best of one list, Amonkhet Remastered updated. So today we're going to be going over the deck's goals, good and bad matchups, and sideboarding, though it's not your typical sideboarding, right? Because we said best of one. So just keep that in mind. There'll also be some gameplay. If you want the gameplay, you want to jump right into it, see it in action. The timestamps below will help you with that. So that'll be nice for you if you just want to jump into the gameplay, kind of see how the list works, and then piece the things together yourself instead of listening to my explanations on everything. And then maybe you can come back if you don't understand something. So that's there for you. There's also an exportable list if you just want to jump that, boom, and take the list out for a spin. Go for it. So with that being said, let's dig into the list. So you see here we've got Pact of Negation. Like, what are the newer cards that we're using? We're using Pact of Negation, Gideon, Anger of the Gods, and Sphinx's Revelation, I believe, and Approach. So lots of new cards. We could also use the cycle lands if I was on less of a budget right now. I know it's kind of lame. I'm just not wanting to cash in yet with Zendikar Rising coming up, etc. So I'm trying to craft cards that I want to use in a lot of different decks. So let's also, we have Wrath, but I mean, you could use Shatter anyway. So how does the deck work? So early game, we want to go Omen of the Sea, Mind Stones, develop some mana, maybe Gideon if the tempo's good. We can +1 and 1v1 monsters basically pretty easily. And we've got sweepers. So like opening hand, you want a mulligan probably. Like, generally speaking, its aggro is pretty popular, so you want to have at least one sweeper if you can. Preferably, like, Anger or Clarion are the more popular ones because we can take care of Jund Food. Crokies has been playing Jund Food a lot. He's kind of popularized it. There we go. Tongue twister there. So that's what we want to do, is we want to have a sweeper. We want to have some ramp, and Omen can fetch you a sweeper if you don't have one in your hand. We don't really want Sphinxes or Approach in our openers because those are really, really clunky cards and they're easy to Thoughtseize. We are a little weak to Thoughtseize, but it's not terrible. But general idea, ramp, sweep when you need to, and then Fae of Wishes for fun in the sideboard for win cons. And that's pretty much how the deck functions. There's all kinds of neat interactions. My favorite one is Gideon 0 for an emblem that says, as long as you control a Gideon Planeswalker, you can't lose the game and your opponents can't win the game. So you can just go into the negatives for life. You can just do whatever you want. It's super cool. It's super fun. And then you can also Pact of Negation and not have to pay for this 5 mana, which is also really, really awesome. I've been enjoying that interaction a lot. You could move the packs up to 3, but I don't think you need to. I think 2 is a nice little sweet spot. Justice Strike here is pretty much for like after you sweep. Having an answer for like Questing Beast or something is pretty important. A Braid is also a really good option though. A Braid. So let's look at like different cards and like what our goal is. Like, let's distinguish our goal. Like, make sure that that's like solid. You can win the game with Approach. You can win the game with the Teferi Emblem. You can win the game with Chandra damage. You can win the game with your sideboard cards, like grabbing something with Fae, etc. Whatever you want. You can win 7 ways to Sunday with this list. It's very, very versatile. It's nice. Gideon can keep swinging in for 4, for example. It's just, you could kill them with a Narset emblem. There's so many ways to end the game. And that's the great thing about it. It doesn't just die to Necromentia like the other list that I made, which is still fun. The Kefnit Approach deck is still fun. I just think it needs a little bit of tweaking so it's not just all in on one strat that's very easy to disrupt. And it's still weak to aggro because we don't have a sweeper on 3, right? So I kind of like this Jeskai list for that. This is also some life gain, which is nice. Between this and this, we have pretty much enough life gain. Plus we have some life gain in the sideboard. I'm being a little scatterbrained right now. Let's bring it back. So that's the deck's goals. Good matchups, bad matchups. I would say that good matchups are like potentially Goblins could be considered a good matchup. Just because we have sweepers here and we have Wrath, I'd say that it's probably even-ish, depending on who goes first. If Goblins goes first, it's pretty rough. Like, let's be honest. Any deck going first with the nuts, it really hurts us. But in regards to control lists that do well against goblins, I think this is the best archetype for it when you can run, or Grixis. I think Grixis has a very good game against it as well, because you can still use the same sweepers early, like Anger and Clarion, and you can still like kind of use the Pact of Negation to stop the Muxus, etc. You don't have any of the fancy like stopping you from losing the game type dealio, but I mean, it's still fun. I think Pact is one of the better cards in Amonkhet Remastered because it lets you just tap out for a threat and then follow it up with being able to counterspell whatever your opponent can do to end the game. It's just awesome. You can think about it like ramping for 3, since normally you would have to keep like 2 to 3 mana back for like a counter spell, you know, before deploying your own threat, if that makes sense. If you think about it that way, sort of like acceleration, but then you have to pay for it later. So that being said, we have 2 vetoes here for spot removal, like just not spot removal, but spot catches on threats. And in regards to other matchups, so we talked about goblins. I'm just excited about the deck, man. I'm going to be jumping around a little bit. I'm sorry. I played this for like 6 hours today, or 5 hours on stream, and this is just the funnest deck that I've played in a really long time. It's perfect for what I love about Magic, just like having answers, draw power, etc., uncounterable threats. So I'd say that Goblins is kind of even as we can get it for a control matchup, which is awesome. That's a check for me. It's good against Jund Food, I would say, because we have Heliod's in the sideboard. For, you know, Trail of Crumbs, we've got Gideon, which counters a lot of their pings. Like, you can +1 on the Mayhem Devil, +1 on Woe Strider, even after it escapes and such. It's just really, really fun to play this against Jund. They have to have, like, a strict answer for it, like Eliminate or something, which they usually just don't have. We've got ECDs for, like, you know, Citadel, even though they sometimes just win after they cast Citadel, but we also have Pact and Veto for Citadel. So many answers, dude. And Justice Strike hits all of their creatures aside from Priest of the Forgotten. And with that in mind, we could just Anger of the Gods or Clarion, which this exile is super important against them. So it's just nice. Just super, super decent. What other matchups? So Jund Food's pretty decent. We have good sideboard cards against them as well, like Heliod's, Light of Hope, etc. It's not terrible. 1 mana answer for Trail of Crumbs after you wipe the board. Oh yeah, that's decent. And a Braid can be really good against the Oven as well and against Citadel. So if you're struggling with that and you're not struggling against Questing Beast, trade out the Justice Strikes for Braids. We'll talk about card choice as well in the upcoming section. So back to matchups. So Jund, it's pretty even. I'd say maybe even a little favored in our sense because they can't really outgrind our Sphinx's Revelation and such. Sort of like how Tamir Reclamation kind of beat down on Sacrifice sometimes. Like, we just have too many cards at the end of the day. They do have Thoughtseize, though, so that can be pretty painful. Mono green, we pretty much smash it if we see Wrath. Like, they can't really do too much. So that's a pretty good matchup. Any type of control combo deck we do pretty well against because we have vetoes and packs. So anyone trying to like combo off and just rely on approach, stuff like that, we can typically beat it for the most part. Like, they have to have a lot of gas and a lot of counters and etc. So I think we do pretty well against combos in general, like Ali's, like Mastermind list, that type of stuff, Lich's Mastery, I mean, and Mastermind. Chromatic Black's a little tricky, because if they get like a really good Ulamog on us, we lose. But that's usually a one of in their list. And then the other Ulamog is in the sideboard with Mastermind, so it's not terrible. We might want something like Tail's End to counteract that, or like Sublime Epiphany that we can get from the sideboard. But that's really expensive, and it's hard to predict that stuff, like, you know, what your opponent's going to do. So basically try to counter the Masterminds and such, because they can get Thought Distortion, they can get Ulamog. So, like, you have to counter the thing that gets them a card. Otherwise, their card can still get you, if that makes sense, with a Chromatic Black. So be aware of that. Mono blue is our worst matchup. It's still winnable with Chandra if you see her. And between, like, Wrath and then backing it up with a Pact, we can still get there. But they have really good cards, like Spell Pierce. They have the new Unblockable dude. It's really hard to keep up with that deck. Don't be discouraged. Just go to the next game. If you go to board wipe them twice, it doesn't work out, and it's lethal on the table, or you just don't want to sit through it, just scoop and go to the next one, and you'll be okay, man. You'll still have some fun playing Magic today, I promise. You know, you just gotta keep going with it. What else in Historic? Field of the Dead we can pretty much outpace for the most part. Like we've got Anger of the Gods, Deafening Clarion, and I'm about to add a Blood Sun to the sideboard for Field of the Dead as well. I would say we can probably cut like probably the Narset or the Teferi. I don't think we really like grab those, and I think Blood Sun's just better. And we also have board wipes here, so I would say that's a good change, is just including a Blood Sun or the Moon. There's a Moon card as well, I think. Choose a non-basic land card name. Lands your opponent's control with the chosen name lose all of their abilities. I like the Blood Sun because it draws us a card. And like we only have Vantress anyway, so if it's like we shut off our one Vantress, who really cares, you know? Plus they might have another card like Blast Zone that could blow us up, so like could blow up the Blood Sun. So Blood Sun just stops that from happening. That's my choice between those cards and why I like Blood Sun more. But yeah, Field of the Dead in general, we can probably outpace for the most part. If it's Sultai and they have Casualties of War on top of everything else, and like we go to Fae of Wishes, we grab the Moon and or the Blood Sun, the Sun, and we play it down, and they're like, oh, I just Casualties of War that, man. And we're like, oh, okay. I don't think, for one, that they really run Casualties too much in their deck anyway, so it's not a big deal. And like we can win pretty fast, and we can keep board wiping them. They can't make dudes at the end of our turn for the most part, save like Fabled Passage. But that's it. They're very upfront about their damage and what they can do, so I think we can handle those decks pretty well, especially with the packs for really tricky stuff. So, and we have vetoes for Hour too. Like, what are they gonna do? You know, they can Thoughtseize us, but that only works so to such an extent, you know. So that's pretty much the matchups. There are a couple more that I'm probably forgetting. If I missed one that you're curious about and you want my opinion, just drop it in the comments below. Like, just ask the question and I'll try to sum up like what I think our matchups will be like that. Like, will be against that deck. In regards to budget options for this list, the Pax and the Gideons aren't really necessary, but I feel like they're very, very good, and they give us a different dimension for prolonging the game and just finding a way out. Instead, you could add like another Fae maybe, but I don't know. It's just really hard. You could run like other good cards like Supreme Will, for example, instead of the Pax. Like kind of like a versatile counter spell that can also dig you cards for your better win cons, and like you could just craft like Approach if you wanted to. And instead of Wraths, you definitely use Shatters. Instead of Anger of the Gods, you run Clarions, like if you have those. I'm trying to make the budget list stuff that you might already have for what you have in Standard access to. So you can just switch out the Angers for Clarions, and you won't notice that much of a difference. And if you ended up pulling like Sweltering Suns out of your list, like out of your Amonkhet packs as you're cracking them open, this also works just about as good as Anger of the Gods, if not better in Best of One, because you can cycle this and draw another card, like if you don't need it against control. So if you're considering spending cards and you want to min-max the list a little bit, like I personally pulled one Anger and I think it's good to exile creatures, so I crafted the other one. But it's up to you. And then just use Shatters instead of Wraths. If you don't have Wraths and you have Settles from back in the day, you can use Settles too. Just depends on how you want to swing it. And that's pretty much it. Like, just look at what the card does if you don't have it. Sphinx's Revelation could just be like more draw power or more life gain, whichever you need the most of. Like, could be Revitalizes or some other type of end game card. It's not a huge deal that you don't have Sphinxes. I happen to have extra Mythic cards and I wanted to test Sphinxes, so I just threw it in. And it's been working out real well. It's won me a few games for sure, that, like being able to outdraw the opponent with that. You could also use like something like Narset or whatever here. Like just something that grabs your win con / like messes with your opponent a bit, makes them think. So that's something to consider. So that's pretty much it for like budget options and whatnot. But yeah, just Supreme Will instead of this probably is what I would do. And maybe just all Supreme Wills, like 2 here, minus. Boom, Supreme Wills, easy game. Stuff like that. And then the land base, if you wanted to go the other direction and you weren't worried about your budget, you can do the cycling lands, the new ones, here. So the irrigated farmlands are the ones in our color, I think. I don't think we have any other ones. No, I don't think so. There's no like red white ones, right? No. So I'd just say like using this would be fine too, because this is still a Plains Island, so it still checks most of our check lands. And it gives us something where we can cycle for 2 mana and draw another card. This is probably what I'm doing next if I keep pursuing this deck, and I'm just going to be jamming this to Mythic. Like, you know, if that's the goal, that's what I'm going to do with the list to push it up. And then probably on the other side of it, like if I'm going to be going even heavier with budget, like if I'm going to invest more, I would put an approach in the sideboard as well. And I might take out like a Disenchant or an Aether Gust, like something that I don't use a lot. Maybe the Clear the Mind, because if you have the approach, you can never mill out if you go and you fey for the approach. The approach, even though it says 7 cards under, you just put it as far down as you can. So if you only have like 3 cards left, it goes down as the 4th card. If it's the only card in your library, if approach would be, if you have 0, it just goes right on top. So you can still win the game that way. So Clear the Mind's sort of irrelevant, you know, it's redundant. Like we can just win the game with approach. But I'm strapped on wild cards at the moment for rare, so I'm just doing what I can with the list, you know? And that's what I would do to push it in the other direction. You don't need the extra Gideon either. Like anything that's like a rare in here, like, you know, you don't have the extra Chandra or the extra Teferi, just grab another WinCon, you know? Like, you don't need the exact same sideboard I have. That's the great thing about this deck. Like, don't even worry about the Pact if you're strapped on wildcards and you just want to invest the 2. Put, like, another Veto in here or whatever, you know? Something that's similar to the effects that I have here. That makes sense. And that pretty much covers the budget options, I think. So, sideboarding, like, just grab what you need. Grafdiggers is very good against any deck that's running, like, Jund. It's so good against Jund right now because... like grab this when you can and play it because it destroys the collected card, the what's it called, collected company, the CC, the Coco as they call it, collected company. So like this makes it so they can't enter from the library. Also, it shuts down Citadel to some extent too. Like creature cards can't enter from the top there either. So it just slows them down a lot. And they have a pretty tough time dealing with Grafdiggers. So if you have open mana and you're not super pressured, you can always Fae of Wishes, Grafdiggers, and that's a 5 mana combo that will just win you the game against them sometimes. And then you just need to land like a Sweltering Suns, Anger, Clarion, whatever you have for a sweeper, and then you just win. Like, it's just easy. You don't automatically win, but it's very good. Casket, just for quick aggro matchups, like if you just need to have a quick answer. Gust, pretty self-explanatory. Grab it against a red or a green spell that's bugging you. If it can save your life, etc., it's nice. Pact, grab this if you need it. Like, this is just to ensure your win con or that your opponent's not going to have a win con going. And all you need to do is, like, last 1 or 2 more turns for your, like, approach to go off. Gideon, pretty self-explanatory. If you want Gideon, grab him. Pairs well with Pact, etc. Blood Sun, Field of the Dead. Aggro. If you need a 4 mana answer there. Shatter, Teferi, I mean, just win cons, right? Shatters is pretty self-explanatory. This is okay against Jund too if you need to blow up like Trail of Crumbs, Citadel, etc., Witch's Oven. If you need to, like, you know, 3-for-1 them or whatever, it's pretty decent. And it's okay against like mono red if that's still a thing with like being able to blow up a Nex and Embercleave. That's a really popular play if you think your opponent's gonna do that to you. Like, instantly, or you can grab Light of Hope if it's just Embercleave that you're worried about killing you and you don't have the mana to or the turn to take off for Pact. So, and then Disenchant. Like, there's a lot of overlap here, but I feel like that's important to have different mana cost for the things that are bothering you the most. But this could definitely be min-maxed a little bit. You saw me change out for Blood Sun earlier. Just put what you believe in and use it, you know? And I think that'll pretty much cover the deck. We'll jump into the gameplay here, and hopefully you guys can enjoy that. I think Paper Bag is playing Path of Diablo today for the ladder reset. This looks okay against aggro. It's trash against everything else, though. This is a really risky hand to keep. I think if I had Omen of the Seas, this would be a lot better. Yep. I think Mountain was... No, Mountain wasn't better, because Steam Vents already checks those lands anyway. Now they know I don't have Censor. There's Clifftop, nice. So yeah, we just chill out with Veto now. We chill in. Was ripping... Oh, nice. Nice. Good. I wish it were like kind of legal in Missouri. That's whatever. Oof. I just want to decline that. I just want a land drop. If they happen to have Nissa, then it's like whatever. Like I'll get punished for it, and that's fine. But now this just ramped me, which is awesome. They have red. That's scary. Might be Tamir. Well, I mean it is Tamir. I mean like Tamir. So I can go like this and add blue. Just go like this. Which is nice. Ooh. Kinda like that guy. And now I can hold up Veto plus, like, maybe Scry if nothing else happens. No way. That is not happening. No thank you. So I could -2 the Narset and just draw a card. I think I can Teferi first, though. Pretty safe to do. See what I draw into. Gideon. Ooh la la. I think I'm just gonna plus her. Although minusing and hitting a Veto would have been nice, like just for the next Primeval Bounty or something. Storm's Wrath. Oof. That's tough. Yeah, that'll do it. We still get the Teferi. We can still crack the Omen. See what I'm saying about the Omen, though? It's so nice, man. We don't really need either of those, I don't think. As of right now, I can +1 and cycle this land if I want to. Or I can just hold up Mind Stone. That's better. Holding up the Mind Stone's better. Although I guess I could have just cast Chandra, but I can always do that when they don't have open mana. I can't tap the Mind Stone. I want to be able to draw into another Veto. What are my chances for Veto? 2%. Or Pact. Come on. Whoosh! Pact of Negation. Somebody clip it! Somebody clip it. It's gonna be another Genesis ultimatum, dude. Ugin, no! Goodbye, everyone. Clean answer. See, this would be better as Sweltering Suns right now. Alright, Uro's fine. We can just Wrath that. All on the floor, Wrath that. Don't Storm's Wrath me. Oh, they must have Kiora. They must have like the Kiora combo and such with that. Alright. So Chandra is ready to go. They don't have enough for Uro yet. I don't think I saw your link, by the way, Chief. I'll try to scroll up for it, and I'll give you a look Sipu after this game. Okay, so they float mana, sacrifice those lands, yep. Maybe go Genesis again. Oh, they're using that for Uro fodder. I see. That's pretty neat, actually. That's cool. Flame-wide celebration. Ooh. Okay. Well, I think I just do this here. Go +2 here. Approach. Play land. Pass. That way we're ticking them down too with Chandra. And like even if they have Ugin, they have to like -6, which is cool. Ulamog. Oof. That's rough. But I mean, it's... Oh, man, that is pretty rough. Do I even have an answer to Ulamog? I don't think so. Like, Fae? Fae, settle? Fucking Ulamog. What the heck? I think it's ECD or bust, yeah. I think Fae can get us there. I think they got both of our ECDs and our Fae. I guess Approach. Approach off the top one time, Heart of the Cards. We already used it once this game, so it's probably not going to work. But we can believe it's a 15%. It's a 50% chance. Either it happens or it doesn't, right? Heart of the Cards. Come on, let's go. Omen digs us a little bit further. I can still cast it. I think. Right? 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I can still cast this. This is still proper. Come on, Omen! Woo! Off the top 2 times. Alright, so hopefully that helped you get an idea of how the deck kind of functions, showed you some gameplay, all of that good stuff. And there are timestamps down below for the budget options, all of that good stuff, so you can skip around to the different parts of the video if you want to revisit that without having to guess. And there's also an exportable list, so enjoy that. I'll be doing some more deck guides coming up. Monday is a big day for me for YouTube, so I'll probably be pumping out like 2 or 3 deck guides, getting them ready and stuff. So if you guys have any theory crafts or anything that you want me to brew around, drop them in the comments below. Let me know what you guys have been enjoying too for the new set. Love to hear from you guys, you know. And so there'll be an end panel here in a second. You can just click on my face and that'll subscribe to me. That really helps the channel out. And then there's also some more content if you want to check that out. I've been putting out a new YouTube video a day for a really long time now, probably like 2 or 3 months. So I'm excited to just keep at it. So appreciate you guys for checking out the video, and I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day.